Apologize to my sister or leave this house. My husband said it loud enough for the whole room to hear. Forks stopped midair. Glasses froze. I stayed seated for one breath, then stood up. Not rushed, not slow, steady. I walked toward him. People assumed I was about to give in. I could see it in their posture, in the way his sister, Diane, crossed her arms like she'd already won. Daniel didn't even look at me directly. He just waited. That's when I understood. This wasn't about an apology. This was arranged. My name is Claire Mercer. I'm 43. We'd been married 11 years. And what was supposed to be our anniversary dinner felt less like a celebration and more like a courtroom I hadn't been told about. Too many people. Too many eyes. Diane had been working all evening, small comments, quiet digs, nothing you could call out directly but relentless. Daniel never stopped her. He didn't even try. He just watched, patient, like he was waiting for a specific moment to arrive. I noticed, because this wasn't the first time something felt rehearsed. The shift had started months earlier. Slowly, quietly, and standing there with the room watching me, one thing became clear. Whatever this was, it hadn't started tonight. The evening began normally, at least on the surface. Dinner at our home, close family, a handful of friends. Daniel had arranged everything himself this time, the seating, the food, the layout, too deliberate. He always asked for my input. This time he didn't. Diane arrived early, walked in without greeting me, without a word of congratulations. She found Daniel first, and they shared a look, brief, quiet, but I caught it. I let it go. The conversation started light. Work, travel, the usual surface-level warmth. Then Diane redirected it. She started pulling up old stories, things from years back, reshaping them just enough to land differently. "Remember when Claire botched the insurance renewal?" she said, smiling like it was a fond memory. It never happened, but I didn't correct her. I watched Daniel instead. He didn't flinch, didn't defend me, didn't look the least bit surprised. He just kept eating. And there it was. The pattern clicked into place. This wasn't casual conversation, it was constructed. Each story aimed the same direction, each one just believable enough to stick. I stopped reacting. I started watching. Diane kept going. Late payments, missed obligations, emotional distance. Each detail small, each one slightly wrong, but piled together they were building something, a version of me that could be presented, referenced, repeated later. Daniel added to it softly. "She's been difficult to reach lately," he said at one point, gentle voice, careful tone, as if it pained him to admit it. People nodded. And I felt the room tilt, not against me loudly, but quietly, gradually, the way opinion shifts before anyone notices it happening. I understood then. This wasn't about convincing people tonight. It was about establishing a record, a portrait, one that would hold up later when it needed to. Then Diane made her first direct move. "Let's be honest," she said, looking straight at me. "Daniel has been carrying a lot because of you." A test. She was watching for my reaction. I gave her nothing, a slight nod. And that seemed to frustrate her, because whatever they needed from me, I wasn't delivering it. She pushed her chair back. "Let's just say what everyone's thinking. Daniel deserves better." The room went still. Daniel looked at me for the first time all evening, not emotional, not angry, composed, final. Like a decision had already been made and this was just the announcement. "Claire," he said, "you owe my sister an apology." "For what?" I asked. Calm, even, that seemed to throw him slightly. "For everything," Diane cut in. "For how you've made his life harder." I looked at Daniel. He didn't correct her, didn't add anything, just repeated it. "Apologize to my sister or leave this house." Same tone, same calm, like the outcome was already settled. And that's when everything connected, the stories, the staging, the audience. This wasn't about repairing anything. It was about creating a scene, a public moment, one that could be referenced later to explain whatever came next. So I stood up. Chairs shifted slightly. People leaned in. I walked toward Daniel and stopped close enough to read his face clearly. He expected anger, maybe tears, maybe a quiet surrender. He didn't expect stillness, because stillness only unsettles people when they've planned for something else. I kept my voice even, audible to the room. Because they made this public, so I would too. You want an apology? I asked. He nodded once, confident, like the scene was wrapping up on schedule. All right, I said. I'm sorry. The room exhaled. Diane's expression relaxed. Daniel's shoulders dropped slightly, then I added the second part. I'm sorry I didn't say anything 4 months ago. The exhale stopped. Diane frowned. Say what? I didn't answer her. I kept my eyes on Daniel because he already felt what was coming. I've known about you and Ryan since January, I said. No one spoke. Diane blinked. Who's Ryan? I let the silence sit. Daniel's face didn't collapse, but it shifted the way composure shifts when something underneath it cracks. That's not, he started. Don't, I said quietly. Not here. Diane turned to him. Daniel, nothing. Ryan Alcott, I said, her husband. The silence turned heavy. It took a moment for Diane to process it. Then she laughed once, short, disbelieving. That's not funny. I didn't smile, I didn't move. Check his phone, I said, and that was enough. Diane looked at Daniel, then at me, then back at Daniel. She reached into her bag slowly and pulled out her own phone, then stopped. She looked at Ryan instead. He'd been quiet all evening. Too quiet. Your phone, she said, walking toward him. He hesitated. 1 second. That was the only answer she needed. She didn't wait. She took it from his hand. She knew the code. Of course she did. The room stayed silent. You could hear her scrolling. Then she stopped. Her face didn't break apart dramatically. It just closed like something inside went very still. She looked up at Daniel. Then at Ryan, no yelling, no performance, just one word. How long? Neither of them answered. That silence was its own confession. Diane stepped back once, then again, like she needed distance from both of them equally. Then she set Ryan's phone down on the table carefully, like it was something she no longer wanted to touch, and she walked out. No door slam, no final words, she just left. Ryan followed a moment later, not to stop her, just because he had nowhere left to stand. That left me, Daniel, and a room full of people who no longer knew where to look. Daniel finally turned to me. Why in front of everyone? I didn't hesitate. You chose the audience, I said. I just didn't follow the script. No one said anything else. No one touched their food. The version of me they'd been presented all evening. The difficult one, the distant one, the one who owed apologies, didn't survive what they just witnessed. And once that image breaks, it doesn't reassemble. We didn't argue after everyone left. There wasn't much to argue about. Some things only need to be seen, not debated. The divorce was straightforward. No drama, no drawn-out scenes. Diane filed her own papers within weeks. 2 marriages, same unraveling, same route, not because of what I said that night. Because of what had already been true for months. All I did was stop being quiet about it. And sometimes, that's the only move that matters.